I was very sick for 6 years. I kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. I had migraine headaches and my hair was starting to fall out. My teeth started to break and I had the stomach distress. I was tired. I had a full-term stillbirth, 3 miscarriages, and a 2-pound baby. And I lost 25 pounds. And, I was getting diagnosed with anything from postpartum depression to, are you anorexic? It was always the symptom that was being treated. And until finally, after seeing 23 doctors, and I kid you not, I counted them, I went back through my medical records, 23 doctors later, the family veterinarian was the one who came up with the diagnosis, saying, sometimes animals have trouble digesting grains. Maybe why you have all these unrelated symptoms is that maybe you can't eat some kind of grain. I think it's called celiac disease, and it has something to do with wheat.
Wheat contains a protein called gluten, which can be harmful to some human beings. For people who suffer because of gluten, the best resolution is to live your life gluten-free.
Before I realized I had celiac, I felt pretty low-level lousy all my life. Nobody understood when I was a kid why it was I was always getting the flu. I had pneumonia 6 times before I turned 25. If it wasn't pneumonia, I was getting bronchitis every winter. And if it wasn't that, I was spraining my wrist or just catching every cold that went through town. I was a sort of vital energy inside, but externally, I just had nothing. And that only increased as I got older and older. And then I had a car accident in 1 year and a surgery later that same year. And I just never recovered. I was pain. I was all pain. 2 years following that, I caught a flu that was going around. And after that, I just descended. I couldn't stay awake for longer than a couple of hours at a time. And I was in terrible pain with my stomach, intestines, but headaches, I got migraines. I had all kinds of brain fog. I just felt lousy. And I had every single medical test known to man. I had CAT scans, MRIs, ultrasounds. I went to the emergency room. Every specialist thought I had his disease, and when it turned out I didn't, they would send me to another specialist. Friends of mine thought I was dying. The lowest point was probably a few weeks before I was finally diagnosed with celiac. I had had tests for kidney failure, ovarian cancer, splenectomies, I mean, everything that the doctors could possibly try, and nobody had an answer. I was a school teacher, but I had to miss school. I was on extended leave because I was sleeping 18 hours a day. The lowest point, aside from the pain and the fear that I was dying, was that I lost all interest in food. I didn't want anything to do with food because every time I ate, I would get terrible pain. And so at first I just sort of became indifferent to food, and then I just actively disliked it because it was giving me this pain. I was down to eating jars of baby food just so I could get some kind of nutrition in me, and lying on the couch, not knowing what the heck was going on. That lack of understanding of what was happening to me was really debilitating. In the spring of 2005, when I was so debilitated by this, I had had every test, including a colonoscopy and endoscopy on the same day. And the gastroenterologist who tested me said, well, we don't know what's wrong with you, because he wasn't looking for celiac. And he said, well, I think you have irritable bowel syndrome, which is sort of a catch-all for, we don't know what the heck is going on with you. They told me to avoid all raw fruits and vegetables. And I said, this doesn't sound anything like me. And they're like, no, you just can't have anything. I knew that wasn't the answer, and I had to keep searching. And luckily, a friend of mine called. She had just heard a report about celiac and the fact that it's the most underdiagnosed disease in the United States. And she said, you should look it up. I think this is you. And I Googled it, and darn sure every single thing sounded like me. And so I found another doctor and got the tests and stopped eating gluten. It was immediate.